Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Manatee County Planning Commission for Thursday, November 14th, 2014. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, thank you. Found my. If everyone would please take this moment to silence your cell phones, please remember to silence your cell phones. Ms. Greer, any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda. They were updated yesterday, but there has been one added public comment for item number 9, East County Facilities, and you have that in front of you.
Thank you. Ms. Schenk, anything from the County Attorney's Office?
No changes.
All right. Let's see, we don't have any meeting minutes, blah, 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 blah. All right, citizen comment. We'll take, I thought I was going to get yelled at this early. No? Okay, because it wouldn't surprise me. Okay.
Not done yet.
Citizen comments. We now open citizen comments for items that are not on the agenda today. So are there any citizens to discuss items that are not on the agenda today? Seeing no one come forward, we'll close citizen public comment. Let's see, public hearing, so we will have to have swearing in. If you're thinking about discussing today, but most of you look professional, if you're thinking about talking today, please get up and get sworn in.
Please stand, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that a factual statement or representation you are going to make to the planning
What?
commission are truthful and accurate?
No.
I do. I'm going to
Step to the podium, please state your name, county of residence, and if you've been sworn.
Thank you. Let's see, where are we? These are presentations upon request. Ms. Greer, would you please read item number 1 into the record?
Item number.
I'm sorry, has anyone had any ex parte communications on this item? No. Ms. Greer.
Item number 1, Z2409 Creighton rezone. It's quasi-judicial, and we have Camden Jenkins here as our planner. It's a rezone of approximately 3.17 acres, generally located at the northeast corner of the intersection of 12th Avenue East and 64th Street Court East, and commonly known as 1020 65th Court East, Bradenton. And it's a rezone from A1 to RDD3 zoning district.
Just so I know, is there anyone in the public that's planning on speaking for or against this item? Just so I get an idea.
And then I think we need to open item 2 at the same time.
Item 2?
Oh, sorry,
No, it's
that's
2
the next one.
2 and
Sorry.
3. I think
Sorry.
it's 2 and 3.
Sorry.
There's no one here to speak from the public. Does the applicant wish to make a presentation? Regretfully, it appears so.
No. Good morning, Mr. Chair, Planning Commissioners. For the record, my name is Bob Schmidt with Land Planning Associates, and I have been sworn. No, I just came to the podium to say, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay. So any staff presentation? Nope. Nope. Any questions from the commissioners? We'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the public that would like to come forward to speak for or against this item? Anyone in the public? Seeing no one come forward, we'll close public hearing. Staff closing comments? Applicant closing comments? Chair will entertain a motion. Motion by Ms. Onstadt, second by Ms. Keba. May vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 2, Ms. Greer. Any ex parte communications on this item? No. Ms. Greer, please read it into the record. We'll open 2 and 3 at the same time. We'll take separate motions on them.
Item number 2, ordinance 2490, Shorter Manatee Ranch, Cypress Banks DRI 17. It's quasi-judicial. We have Laura Gonzalez here for our planner. It's a rendering, an amended and reinstated development order which supersedes ordinance 1705 pursuant to Chapter 380 of the Florida statutes on an application for development approval filed by Shorter Manatee, Inc. for Cypress Banks Development of Regional Impact, also known as DR17, to approve the following changes to the Master Development Plan, Map H, and the development order. 1, designate a 5-acre portion of the open space zone PDMU and located south of State Road 70 and east of Lorraine Road as a commercial tract, which will be known as Parcel 89. Number 2, increase commercial entitlements from 50,000 square feet to be allocated to the new commercial tract. Item number 3, amend map H and the development order to reflect these changes. Item number 4, update phasing and build-out dates to reflect previously granted legislative extensions, providing for severability and providing for an effective date. The Cypress Bank DRI is south of State Road 70, east of I-75, and the present zoning is PDMU. Item number 3, Z 8630G R17, Cypress Bank's GDP amendment. Shorter Manatee Inc. is the owner, as well as Avid Corporate Park Associates. Again, we have Laura Gonzalez here for our planner, and it's quasi-judicial. And it's to amend the GDP and map H as stated above. As we just stated, the present zoning is PDMU, and the total acreage is approximately 4,055.7 acres.
Thank you. Just so I have an idea, is there anyone in the public that's planning to speak for or against this item? Anyone in the public? All right, I assume that one of the Mr. Grimes is here for this. Do you need to make a presentation? Does staff need to make a presentation? Oh, so there is, hold on. There is someone who's thinking about speaking for or against this item.
So, I just walked in, I had trouble parking. Can you tell me which one this is?
This is item 2 and 3. Do you have an agenda? Someone help him.
No, Cypress is fine.
Okay. All right. Start over. Is there anyone here that's going to speak for or against items 2 or 3? One of the Mr. Grimes, would you like to make a presentation? Does staff need to make a presentation? I can't hear what she says.
Do you have any questions?
You don't need to make a presentation. We'll open the public hearing. Does anyone like to come forward and speak for or against this item? See no one come forward to close the public hearing. Staff closing comments, applicant closing comments. Chair will entertain a motion. Motion by Ms. Onstad, second by Ms. Keba for item number 2. You may vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 3. Motion by Ms. Onstad, second by Ms. Second by Mr. Esslinger. You may vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 4.
Item number 4.
Any ex parte communication on this item? Thank you. Ms. Greer.
ZL 2404, MSB North Yard, MSB Real Estate LLC is the owner. It's quasi-judicial. We have James McDevitt here for staff. It's a rezone of approximately 3.71 acres, generally located 730 feet west of the intersection of Lena Road and 81st Court East. It's commonly known as 3104 Lena Road, and it's a rezone from A1 to LML zoning district, and it's approving a schedule of permitted and prohibited uses as voluntarily proffered by the applicant, and is attached as Exhibit B.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the public that's planning on speaking for or against this item? All right. Applicant, do you wish to make a presentation? Staff, any comments? Presentation needed. We'll open the public hearing. Anyone in the public that want to come forward and speak for or against this item? Anyone in the public? Seeing no one come forward to close public hearing. Staff closing comments. Applicant closing comments. Chair will entertain a motion. Motion by Ms. Keba, second by Ms. Prosser. You may vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 5. Any ex parte communications? No. Ms. Greer.
Item number 5, Z2414 Red Rooster Road rezone. Triplet Family Trust is the owner, and it's quasi-judicial. We have Alicia Henry here as a staff, It's a rezone of approximately 5 acres, generally located located approximately 826 feet south of US 301 on the west side of Red Rooster Road and commonly known as 5403 Red Rooster Road in Parish, and it's a rezoning from A to A1 zoning district.
Thank you. For is anyone planning in the public to speak for or against this item? Anyone in the public planning? All right. Is the applicant represented? Need to make a presentation? Staff presentation? We'll open the public hearing. Is there any public comment? Is there anyone in the public that would like to come forward to speak for or against this item? Seeing no one come forward, we'll close the public comment. Staff closing comments? Applicant closing comments? Chair will entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Esslinger, second by Ms. Prosser. You may vote. You're going to miss me when I'm gone, aren't you? Motion passes unanimously. All right, now we're into advertised public hearings. Thank you. Item number 6. Item number 6. Any ex parte communications? No. Ms. Greer.
Item number 6, Z2410, Shreya LWR Real Estate LLC rezone. The owner is the same name. It's a quasi-judicial. We have CJ Mills here for staff. It's a rezone of approximately 5 acres, generally located 800 feet south of Rangeland Parkway, approximately 500 feet north of 59th Avenue East on the east side of Lorraine Road, and commonly known as 5725 Lorraine Road, Bradenton. And it's a zoning from ASTWPE to general commercial, and it's retaining the existing overlay districts.
Is the applicant here? Good morning, Mr. Schmidt.
Good morning again, Mr. Chair. For the record, Bob Schmidt with Land Planning Associates, and I have been sworn. I will keep this very brief. This is a 5-acre tract, if I can get to the overhead. This is in your staff report, but it's the blue parcel in the center there off of Lorraine Road, south of Rangeland, north of State Road 70. It was formerly owned by SMR, and my client purchased it for the purpose. I know it's general commercial, but the surrounding properties to the north and east are owned by the school board, and my client has the property currently under contract with a daycare center. Not the entire piece, but the idea here is to provide support services for the school that will be built in the future. So there might be taekwondo classes, there might be art classes, there might be things like that. But in order to maintain the ability to put in things like a coffee shop or an ice cream shop, we had to have commercial zoning, so that's the plan here. And I'll leave it at that unless anybody has any questions, just to keep it short.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Any questions for the applicant? Staff presentation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is CJ Mills with staff, and I have been sworn. I'll keep this pretty brief. This is the location of it. It's approximately 5 acres. Again, is to go to the general commercial zoning district. These are some of the surrounding future land use categories and the range of potential uses within the MUC AC1 future land use. General agricultural and general commercial intent, and then the surrounding zonings there. These are some of the overlay districts. Mainly, the positive aspects is that it's located within an activity node where commercial development is encouraged. The increased trips will occur on a major county thoroughfare. The negative aspect is that maximum allowed height in GC could be incompatible with adjacent properties, and GC allows for more intensive uses in the current zoning district. Mitigating measures, no adjacent residential uses, which can mitigate for some height concerns. And at time of FSP, the development will comply with all LDC applicable provisions. It's in the opinion of staff that this is appropriate and is in compliance with the LDC and the comprehensive plan. I'll be here if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff at this point? Ms. Keba.
What's the maximum height it could be?
So 4, but 6 with a special permit.
Okay.
Yep. But again, there aren't any adjacent residential.
Residential, right.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks.
Anything else for staff? Thank you. We'll open the public comment. Is there anyone in the public that would like to come forward and speak for or against this item? Anyone in the public? Seeing no one come forward, we'll close the public comment portion. Any questions, staff closing comments? Applicant closing comments? Chair will entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Esslinger, seconded by Ms. Keba. You may vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 7. Any ex parte communications? No. Ms. Greer?
Item number 7, ZL 2411, 6016 Manatee Avenue. 6016 Manatee LLC is the owner. It's quasi-judicial. We have Alicia Henry here for staff. It's a rezone of approximately 8,878 square feet, and it's part of a 0.68 acre site generally located at the northeast corner of Manatee Avenue and 61st Street West. And it's a rezone from PRM to the GCL zoning district, approving a schedule of permitted and prohibited uses as voluntarily proffered by the applicant and attached as Exhibit A. I'm sorry, Exhibit B.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Chairman Bedford. My name is Marshall Robinson with Grimes Galvano, and I have been sworn. I'm joined today with the applicant, Andrew Smith of CSC Properties. We have our surveyor, Eric Blackburn with EBI Surveying, and we also have Mr. Caleb Grimes with Grimes Galvano with us today. Chairman Bedford, we're here to talk about property located at the northeast corner of 61st Street West and Manatee Avenue West. It's a single parcel. It's 0.68 acres in size. It's located in the Southwest Tax Incremental Financing District in the urban service area. You can see that our property is within 2 future land use categories. The northern portion of 0.2 acres is in the Res 6, and the southern 0.48 acres is in the ROR. And here's a look at the property. You can see we're also split zoned. The northern 0.2 acres is zoned with PRM or professional office medium, and the southern 0.48 acres is general commercial in the ROR zoning district. And our request here today, Chairman Bedford, is to request a rezone the 0.2 acres of PRM to GCL, which is General Commercial Limited. The limitation is the proffered schedule of permitted and prohibited uses submitted by the applicant. In the GC zoning district, there are 104 uses permitted by right of that zoning district, and those schedule of uses have stricken out 86, leaving 18 remaining uses as having permissibility in this request for GC zoning. Most notably of those 18 are restaurant, drive-through establishment, and even though this is a standard rezone where we don't have a site-controlled plan, we're not talking about restaurants, we're not talking about drive-through establishments, Mr. Chair, I offer that to you because we do have a final site plan under review right now with County Development Services pending the approval of today's request and ultimately the board's approval for this rezone. It's a 2,300 square foot Chipotle restaurant, and these are the development standards for the general commercial zoning district. And these are an example of some standards for specific uses, such as a restaurant or drive-through. We'll buffer all sides of the property in accordance with the code and any LDC 531 requirements for standards of specific uses. We'll also provide the setbacks, the required screening, and anything else that may come up under our final site plan review. We're happy with the site. We feel it's consistent with the comprehensive plan and compliance with the land development code. Here's a look at the zoning pattern for the area. To our east, we have the Oasis Cocktail Lounge, and to the west, we also have a foot and body massage, which is a personal service establishment, and you can see the pattern of the commercial corridor there. And we feel like that rezoning the property from the PRM to the GCL will help clean up the split zone property. It'll unify the zoning within the 0.68 acres, and it will help repurpose this parcel as an infill redevelopment project within the Southwest TIF and the urban service area. Here's a look at a map that shows our consistency with the commercial locational criteria required. Our northern 0.2 acres is located in the Res 6, which requires commercial locational criteria from the comp plan for commercial uses in the Res 6. Currently today, it's zoned PRM, and that professional office is exempt from commercial locational criteria. And to rezone to the GC, we have to be within 1,500 feet of 2 functionally classified roadways. And you can see here on this map that our property is located about 600 feet off that intersection. Chairman Bedford, the numbers are backwards on the bottom scale there, I apologize. But we do meet 600 feet. We did have a neighborhood workshop back in September, and we respectfully ask for your recommendation of approval. Thank you very much. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant at this point? All right, staff presentation.
Good morning, Alethea Henry here for staff, and I have been sworn. Okay, so Marshall did a very good job of going over many important aspects of this project, so I'm going to go ahead and go through this presentation pretty quickly. All right, so here we have the positive, negative, and mitigating measures. So for the positive aspects of this project, the proffered uses will provide complementary commercial needs for nearby residents. A proposed zoning district would be compatible with existing commercial uses. This project exists in the southwest TIF, which encourage growth for commercial development and infill. The negative aspect of this rezone could generate external incompatibilities with northern residential uses, like increased traffic, lighting, noise. Any potential incompatibilities generated by a proffered use on the subject site would need to comply with the relevant requirements of the Land Development Code. Applicant has proffered a schedule of permitted and prohibited uses that will restrict development of a more intense use on site. Okay, so staff's conclusion. Staff finds that the proposed rezone to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and in compliance with the applicable provisions of the Land Development Code.
Thank you. Any
Any
questions for
questions?
staff at this point? All right. We'll open the public comment portion. Is there anyone in the public that would like to come forward and speak for or against this item? Anyone in the public? Seeing no one come forward, we'll close the public comment portion. Staff closing comments? Applicant closing comments. Chair will entertain a motion. Motion by Ms. Prosser. Second by Mr. Esslinger. May vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 8, any ex parte communications? No. Ms. Greer.
Item number 8, PDEZ 0822 GR3, Buckeye Industrial Park, PDEZ revision, 3303 STRL LLC is the owner. It's quasi-judicial. We have CJ Mills here for staff. It's to retain overlays and approve changes to the general development plan and the ordinance regarding the removal of stipulations A7 and A12, amending stipulation A14 as stated in the ordinance, and providing changes to area D1, including the addition of outdoor storage as a permitted use and increasing maximum floor area ratio from 0.5 to 0.75 on property zone PDEZ, comprising of 190 acres and generally located south of Buckeye Road, east of US 41, and north of 113th Street East, Palmetto.
Thank you, Ms. Greer. Mr. Schmidt, good morning.
Good morning again, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Bob Schmidt with Land Planning Associates, and I have been sworn. I'm going to put in here too, I'll be very brief and just kind of cut to the chase. This is the general development plan that it's been approved and revised once, or actually twice already. And it was county initiated to PDEZ, which is Plan Development Encouragement Zone, to have some support uses for Seaport Manatee. The only two changes that you'll see on the plan here are underlined. And that is, on the left under D1, we added at the bottom outdoor storage, and then at the top, we increased the FAR from 0.5 to 0.75. That is now consistent with areas D2 and D3. So we see this as more of a cleanup. There is probably a need for some outdoor storage. It's port-related. And there is still protection adjacent to Chapman Road where there's a 40-foot buffer there, and there is, I believe, that if there's not a wall there now, there is proposed to be when the site's developed, and that is on Lot 13, which is the southernmost lot in Area D1 that doesn't show up here, but it's in this area right down here. The other lots are not adjacent to Chapman, and so it's just to clean it up and make it consistent with D2 and D3. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Staff presentation.
All right, good morning again, everyone. My name is CJ Mills with staff, and I have been sworn. I will be pretty brief on this. This is the location. The entirety of it is 190 acres. You can see on here, these are the individual lots, and that is Lot 13 on the southeast corner that Mr. Schmidt was talking about. Let's see, the properties have been IL since the establishment of the comprehensive plan, and PDEZ for areas D1, and then in 2011, area D3 was amended from light manufacturing to PDEZ zoning district. The stipulations that are being removed is, one of them is A7 is outdoor storage and loading zones should not face residential uses. And A12 is the preliminary site plan previously approved for subarea D1 by the adoption of PDI 0556 PR, which was adopted in 2008, is going to remain in full force and effect and shall not be superseded by any general development plan approved by the ordinance. The request is also to add the outdoor storage in D1 and increase the maximum FAR to the 0.75, which is the max for industrial light and future land use category. These are the range of potential uses, the intent of the PDEZ, some of the overlays that will be retained there. Mainly the positive aspects is it's going to allow for expanded port-related uses, and increasing the FAR for D1 will provide consistency within all three areas. Negative aspects, the proximity to residential uses could result in adverse impacts in the form of noise, light, and air pollution. And mitigating measures, again, will be LDC requirements followed at the time of final site plan review. And in conclusion, I do believe it is an opinion of staff that the proposed GDP amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan and is following all applicable provisions of the LDC. And I will be here if you have any questions.
Can you go back a few slides?
Yes, sir.
That one.
This one.
So what's A12 really mean?
So A12 was put there. There was a difference in the actual preliminary site plan and then the final site plan that was approved. The preliminary site plan was approved in 2008, and the final site plan was approved in 2009. I've discussed this with management, and the preliminary site plan would have been expired at this point, so I'm not really sure how this stipulation is applicable and why it was there to begin with.
Okay. So you're just getting rid of A12 totally?
Yes.
So whatever it meant, it doesn't mean anymore, and fine.
In the opinion of staff, the stipulation that was put there for the PSP is expired, so the stipulation is no longer valid.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any questions for staff? We'll open the public comment portion. Is there anyone in the public that would like to come forward and speak for or against this item? Anyone in the public? Please come forward. State your name and whether or not you've been sworn.
My name is Catherine Pratt, and no, I have not been sworn.
Hey, Joel, good morning. Katie, good morning.
If there's anybody else who has not been sworn in, please stand. Do you swear or affirm that the factual statements and representations you're about to make to the planning commission are truthful and accurate? I do.
Yes.
Thank you. When you step to the podium, please state your name, county of residence, and if you've been sworn.
My county of residence is Hillsborough, however, recently moved to Chapman Road. Catherine Pratt. Mhm. I'm here today to voice opposition to the development proposed for Buckeye Development Park and maintain Stipulation 7, which protects residential, specifically the effects on Lot 13 on the southern end of D1 and D3, visibility, sightliness, and aesthetics. The staff notes a 6-foot wall and a 40-foot buffer, yet the wall is largely ineffective. We have light pollution, already lights from the equipment storage north of the 31st Terrace. The light peeks through the taller vegetation, and the current overgrowth of the vegetation is our real protection. If the development mirrors what's currently operating on lots 10 through 12, we will have some very confused chickens and floodlights shining into our bedroom windows. The current lights have no blinds or slats to direct the light downward within the property, and the visible light is from 1,000 feet away. So aside from possibly confusing our livestock circadian rhythm, we will lose the ability to show our sun the stars. I'm sorry. The roadway, the entrances will not face Chapman Road, but we've already seen an increase of traffic from the commercial trucks that use the road as a thoroughway, and 2 trucks cannot pass each other at the same time, and there are children who ride their bikes along this road. It would appear that there's a considerable creep, as just in 2008, the FAR was exceeded from 0.35 to 0.5, and with the current proposed, it allows for 0.75 floor area ratio. This further develops green space and wetlands, which constrain waterways and culverts, allowing more flooding during storms. This has been pushing into residential streets along 113th Street, as we've already seen this year during the hurricanes. Not to mention the additional water flow that resulted downstream from the thousands of new homes and the development just east of Buckeye Road. Is that my time? Okay. You can call it climate change, but you can also call it poor water management from overdevelopments of wetlands. We would prefer to see a larger buffer than the 40 feet and increased vegetation, more of a tree-lined wall. I'd also like to note that there is a 6-foot PVC fence there, but it's missing slats quite a bit. I can't say for how long, as I'm a new resident, I don't know. But removing the stipulation removes protection for the residents. Development would devalue property as an increased noise and light pollution and create some burdensome traffic that the road just, it can't handle. So thank you, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public that would like to come forward and speak for or against this item? Seeing no one come forward, we'll close public comment. Staff response.
I think the only thing that I have to say in closing is that the Lot 13 already has multiple permitted uses. This is just adding the addition of outdoor storage there. And so development on the lot is permitted already.
All right,
And
so one at a time. So on Lot 13, all you're doing is you're allowing outdoor storage. That's the change.
that is the additional use, yes.
Okay, and can you generally define what outdoor storage means?
Outdoor storage has storage of trucks,
Dead bodies,
could be heavy equipment. Nope, trucks, heavy equipment, things of that nature that have a little development for actual buildings, but mainly it would be improved services, impervious services there.
Okay,
So-
like RVs, boats, boat trailers, or,
Yes, those outdoor storage permits that, or that is outdoor storage.
okay?
And then I would also like to say that there's a stipulation in there that says that the access will not be from Chapman Road, but will have to come from either Buckeye or Bud Road. Other than that, that's-
I believe she mentioned something about cutoff lights and light trespass. Did I hear that?
yes.
I'm sorry?
She did speak about lights, yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
Commissioner. Right now, it is there is no site plan associated with it. At time of final site plan, there would be,
I guess I'm wondering if there's any light trespass out there now and fixtures that aren't using the barn door to be able to limit the light trespass is, I guess, but,
I do not know, I'm not aware of any light trespass.
okay. We'll have the applicant give us some input.
Okay.
Okay. All right, any other questions for staff?
Kara King for staff. I just wanted to clarify that with the proposed additional uses, there's no changing to the required landscaping or buffers. 531 has specific use criteria for outdoor storage, and it does require a 6-foot opaque fence in an industrial zoning, which PDZ technically is. So there are no changes with respect to that. If there are current issues with light pollution, the homeowner can contact 311 through Manatee County if there is spillage, but staff can't really speak to that at this time.
Okay. Miss, not you, her. I'm sorry, now that you've been here, ma'am, now that you've been here, you'll be able to speak to staff afterwards and get a little more clarity on some of these items. Okay.
In addition, Rosina Library staff, at time of final site plan, we have to enforce a lighting plan that is very strict with the county, and it's not allowed that lights is spilling to adjacent properties. Also, this lot is currently vacant, is not occupied for any use right now. The lights cannot come in for this particular parcel.
Okay, thank you. Anything else for staff at this point? Applicant?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, Bob Schmidt, and I have been sworn. I will pass the neighbors' concerns on to the owner, but I want to remind the commission that this is still industrial light, the future land use designation is. So you cannot have adverse impacts. The neighbors should not be impacted by noise, odor, glare, things like that. We do have to comply with the lighting ordinance. We have to comply with the noise ordinance. And those protections are put into the land development code for that very reason. So, but again, I will pass your concerns along to the owner and make sure that he is aware that there was public comment on the application.
Thank you. So what that means is industrial light means that there can be no off-site impacts. You can't hear it, you can't smell it, light trespass, all of those sorts of things. So if that's happening, then there are code enforcement process to go over there and yell at those people. But that's not a land use issue, it's more of a my neighbor's playing the stereo too loud kind of thing. So, but certainly Mr. Schmidt and staff will be able to talk to you after this and lead you down the path a little bit. Okay, all right. Any other questions? If not, Chair will entertain a motion. Motion by Ms. Prosser, seconded by Ms. Keba. Vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Certainly get with staff and the applicant and get some clarification. This will also be heard on the Board of County Commissioners going forward. All right, item number 9, any ex parte communications? No, Ms. Greer.
Item number 9, PDPI 1922 ZGR East County Facilities, and Manatee County is the applicant. It's quasi-judicial, and we have Chris Claypeck here for staff. It's a rezone of approximately 126 acres generally located north of State Road 70 and east of Post Boulevard, southeast of Rangeland Parkway and west of Uline Road, and commonly known as 5895 Post Boulevard, Bradenton. It's a rezone from A, WPEST, to PDPI zoning district, retaining the WPEST overlay districts, amending a general development plan for a county park to add 126.33 acres to the project area for a total of 236.31 acres, and add such uses that include but not limited to county office space, public use facilities, aquatic center, dog park, softball, baseball complex and fields, concession, park maintenance facilities, racquetball complex, tennis stadium courts, pickleball stadium courts, locker room facilities, restrooms, multi-use building, hotel, secondary, storage barn, multipurpose fields, parking, and stadiums, which are already existing, and other associated facilities, gymnasium, and accessory passive recreation. This also includes a permanent frame tent, maintenance area, trails, outdoor fitness equipment, fitness play, land forms, plazas, and designated playgrounds with shade pavilions.
Did you forget anything, leave anything out?
The kitchen sink.
I hope
We forgot
not.
the kitchen
Yeah,
sink.
Ms. Anstad says the kitchen sink wasn't in there, so maybe you need to add that, but. Ms. Labar, so the county hired you to do this?
They did, yes, sir.
Instead of doing it in-house? That's interesting.
Yes, sir.
So we have, all right, so go ahead.
Great. Good morning, Commissioner, Chairman Bedford, Commissioners. I'm Katie Labar. I'm with Stantec, and today I am representing Manatee County government on behalf of the Property Management Department. I have colleagues here, technical experts, who include myself as the principal planner for the project, my colleague Adina Hippolyte, and Scott Butari, our landscape architect.
I don't see Batari here.
Joel Christian is also in the back of the
I don't know about that.
And he is here from Ardura.
Maybe we should continue this until Mr. Batari could be present?
I think
Don't
that
think
we
so?
can move on.
All
I
right,
think I
fine.
know everything I need to share with you, and if he gets parked and makes it, then he can add to the conversation if necessary, but I think we got this. So, as was described by Ms. Greer, this is a public park facility. East County Facilities was an approved general development plan, rezoned to plan development public interest, was approved in, I want to say January of '22. And this application that you have before you is the addition of what we commonly consider to be Premier Park. And that area consists of approximately 126.3 acres. With this application, we propose to rezone it to PDPI so that it's consistent with the balance of the general development plan and amend the GDP to embrace this property. Primarily, the purpose is to recognize the uses that are on the property today, which include the soccer stadium, multipurpose fields, parking, maintenance facilities, but we also want to expand the range of uses because, again, this is a long-term plan. General development plans have no expiration, and because this is for public use, we want to make sure that we're contemplating not just what we know we want, but the things that we might think we want sometime in the future, so that the county staff is able to react to the needs quickly and bring preliminary and final site plans through the administrative review process efficiently so that those needs can be met for the community. And so, as we talked about, proposed uses include proposed uses are really the permanent frame tent, which will be located within the existing Premier Park facility, and also a potential hotel site along State Road 70. As you can imagine, with these large events, sporting events that we have out at Premier Park, the need for hotel space is still evident. And so having the opportunity for that use here as a potential lease parcel is something that the county would like to consider. This is the general development plan for East County Facilities. Again, we're amending the overall project boundary. We're illustrating the existing entrance that is on Post Boulevard at 59th Avenue East. And we're also showing a proposed access point to State Road 70, which will ultimately have to be approved by Florida Department of Transportation. Again, this is essentially intended to memorialize existing uses and activities, and then adds the uses that we believe will just add more quality to East County facilities. Minimum open space is 30%. I'm sure that it's going to be retained, but with all of the multipurpose fields, it's going to be exceeded without question. Site plan shows buffers along all roadways in accordance with the Land Development Code. And we also have a 50-foot wetland buffer along the eastern property line, which is adjacent to the off-site wetland system that you see to the east. This site plan also establishes a maximum intensity of 700,000 square feet, which equates to a floor area ratio of 0.06. And so, at staff's request, we have established that upper limit, and based on coordination with property management and development services, everyone seems very confident that that square footage is adequate to meet the future needs of the facility. In terms of consistency and compatibility with the surrounding region, if you're familiar with East County facilities and Premier Park, you know that this is essentially in the heart of Lakewood Ranch. There are several existing and emerging neighborhoods to the north, east, and south of the property. We also have several public uses to the west, including a post office and a future school site. There are also some office and commercial uses, and then retail, fast food, and the like at the intersection of State Road 70 and Lorraine Road. This facility will provide public community space and needed government uses in a part of the county that is growing rapidly. And so we think this is an important addition to the community. As for consistency with the comprehensive plan, this application is consistent with several policies, which include Policy 2.1 regarding the distribution of land uses, limiting urban sprawl, providing a predictable and functional urban form, Policy 2.1.1.4 regarding the provision of public facility availability and investment. Objective 2.9.1 related to strong communities. 2.9.1.7 related to promoting development of community space, including usable open space. And then finally, Policy 2.9.1.9 relating to pedestrian and bike access to community space, rec facilities, neighborhoods, employment centers, and professional and commercial establishments. And so to wrap it up, this is, again, an existing and growing county facility. The proposed development is compatible with surrounding development. The request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan and Land Development Code. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions for you. And again, we do have our technical experts who can address any specific questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? SMR obviously started this. They did a spectacular job with it, and the county's doing a great job continuing it, so it's a good thing. Just out of curiosity, any idea on the high school to the west, the timing of it, or you probably don't know, you might?
I don't know the timing on the high school. I don't know if that's an answer that staff might be able to offer. I haven't seen any.
Well, that piece to the west is where it's targeted.
Correct.
We traded when I was there, so I was just curious if we knew, but doesn't. All right.
I have
Anything
not.
else for applicant at this point? Staff presentation, which is odd because the staff is the presenter, so, you know. Are you going to disagree with anything that the applicant said?
No, sir, I'm not.
Which would be really kind of fun, but I don't.
Chris Klepek with Development Services, I have been sworn. And for the school question, we can't speak to that. We don't know the answer to that yet, so.
I just might be curious for the board to know if it's even planned in the short term, long term at all, just out of curiosity.
All right, I'll briefly go over this. Mrs. Labar did a really good job. I will touch on some site history on it, though. So we know where this is at. It's along State Road 70, south of Rangeland Parkway and east of Post Boulevard, west of U-Line. It's five different parcels totaling 236 acres. So back in 2009, this was part of a comprehensive plan map amendment, which was part of the Schroeder Manatee SMR future land use comprehensive plan map amendment. And it changed over 7,000 acres of properties within the county to MUC, or mixed use community future land use categories, and its sub areas. So there's 3 parcels totaling 110 acres currently zoned PDPI, which were already approved for recreation and public use facilities. There's already a public library approved under FSP 2135. Then in 2022, excuse me, we came back in and we changed the future land use category again. The county did, this was county initiated, for the community rating system, or CRS Class 4. And we changed it to ROS, or recreation open space. We've since recognized that the future land use categories of ROS does not support the range of potential uses that are proposed within this area. So we've had a concurrent county-initiated general cleanup map amendment under PA 2408 and PA 2409, which have already been approved and are awaiting adoption on 12/12/24. So next month it'll come in, it'll be concurrent application here for us. So it's timed correctly, so everything will be consistent. So we've reviewed this project as if it were with the future land use categories of MUC, AC1, and MUCR. And I'll show the map for that too. So we can see that we've got ROS and PSP1 of the future land use categories. I'm going to have a better map for you guys when it comes to BCC for the commission, but we can see the subject site and it's getting reverted back to MUCR and MUCAC1. And I've got the breakdown of the acreages here on the left. Ms. LeVar did a good job of going over the general development plan, so I won't note anything other than that there's a maximum building height of 5 stories proposed. And of course, that will be subject to the Land Development Code 4.1.5 for building height compatibility, which will be reviewed at time of final site plan. All the required setbacks and buffers have been proposed for the northern and southern sections. And again, the access along State Road 70 will also be subject to the FDOT approval. Just some positive and negatives here. So this is a Manatee County initiated project to expand the existing parks in the area. The expansion of the park the expansion of the county park is regional serving recreational opportunities for the use of county-owned land. An expansion of the county park appears to be a logical transition from surrounding residential planned developments. Some negatives is that the residences adjacent to the proposed project may experience potential for light, glare, noise, pollution, traffic, as well as the proposed maximum building height of 5 stories. The mitigating will be that the project will be further reviewed at time of PSP and final site plan submittal for impacts to the surrounding properties and the infrastructure regarding traffic, noise, site lighting. Again, site lighting, like we discussed earlier, with one of the previous projects, the county does have a pretty strict site lighting ordinance, so it will be reviewed for compliance with that, as well as the LDC 4.1.5 for building height compatibility. They've proposed all of the required minimum open spaces. The previously approved setbacks have all been proposed once again for the entire development. All of the required roadway buffers and wetland buffers have been provided, and the parking calculations have been calced out for the various permitted uses within the project. And in addition to that, a detailed parking calculation will be provided at time of final site plan when they know the final site design and layout and the specific uses. So we'll check that for the checks and balances for parking. Excuse me, for the max density, well, we know that there is no density proposed here, so we know that's in compliance, as well as the FAR permitted. The breakdown equates out to 0.06, or with the 700,000 square foot proposed. as well as the future land use categories, the range of potential uses are all supported by the future land use categories of MUCR and MUCAC1. And it is the opinion of staff that the rezone to PDPI with amended general development plan can be found to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and in compliance with the land development code.
Mr. Chair, I just have a brief question. So procedurally, should the motion say substitute the council plan amendment becoming effective? Because you said the council plan amendment isn't going to be adopted by the board till December 12th, but this particular agenda item is before the board November 19th.
So
Can we approve something that isn't approvable?
Well, we always have that addressed in the motion. I'm just asking staff to help me with the motion.
I'll listen to the county attorney.
Okay. Do you have the comp plan amendment number or something I can refer to in the record?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I had, thank you.
Okay. So the hotel, is the county going to then sell parcels out? Is that your plan? I noticed a hotel was listed. Is that what you're thinking? I mean, you're not going to run a hotel, are you?
Katie
All right.
LeVar with Stantec, representing property management. And the details about sale or lease, I don't think have been determined at this point. It's a matter of having those options available to the county for some time in the future. It's not necessarily,
Okay.
to my knowledge, I don't think it's necessarily an imminent thing. But as you know, with general development plans,
Yeah.
you want to put everything in there but the kitchen sink
Okay.
so that you have the ability to keep
Okay.
things moving. And so I can't
right.
really speak to ownership, whether it's a lease or a sale, but that would be worked out in the future with property management.
Okay. And the height, because it's associated with a potential hotel in the future, and I realize this is GDP. So if I'm going to be a buyer and I want to build a hotel, and now I got to come back to the staff to decide how high it can be and where it can be, it could just get a little dodgy at that point. And I know we're not really discussing it now. I'm just saying that,
We've specified the location.
I'm sorry?
We have specified the location, which is in parcel L, which is adjacent to State Road 70. We have intentionally identified it in that location because
got it.
it
Fine.
needs.
You've answered the question.
Yeah.
I did not notice that. So the hotel, if there's a hotel, can only go on L.
That's correct.
All right, fine. The 50-foot wetland buffer seems larger than usual. Is it there for a reason?
I'll have Joel Christian speak to that.
Okay. I mean, because most of this stuff is just grass anyway. It's just playing fields. Do we really need a 50-foot wetland buffer against a soccer field?
Good morning. Joel Christian, I'm a senior environmental scientist with Ardura, and I have been sworn. This project, because of wetland W90, which runs along the east portion, is inflowing to the Braden, the Evers Reservoir. Historically, the comprehensive plan required a 50-foot wetland buffer for those. We provided that on the north piece when this first came through, so we're just continuing that requirement down through the rest of the project.
Okay.
And it's, the wetland is located off-site. There are no
Right, the
wetlands
wetland's
within this.
offside, yes.
Right.
Just
and-
a 50-foot buffer against soccer fields seemed a little excessive, but if it's not my project, so that's fine. All right, that's all I got. Anything else for the applicant at this point? All right, thank you. We'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the public that would like to come forward and speak for or against this item? Anyone in the public? Seeing no one come forward, we'll close public comment. Applicant closing comments? Applicant closing comments. All right, Chair will entertain a motion. So the applicant is telling us that it's consistent with its own rules. Okay, fine.
So, excuse me, Mr. Chair, do you have the PA number, or should I just
Oh,
state it generally?
I'm
Staff is
sorry.
going to look something up
I'm
from the
sorry,
other
Ms.
motion.
Shank, yes.
I have the PA number. It is PA 2408, ordinance 2322.
Okay, so, Mr. Chair, just to clarify, the motion we read, the one for approval as stated, and at the end it would say, subject to PA 2408, ordinance 2322 being adopted by the board and becoming effective.
Thank you, Ms. Shank. Chair will entertain a motion to that effect. Is it waking up? Anybody's? No? We should have the background to password when this happens. All right, Chair will entertain a motion. Motion by Ms. Onstadt. Seconded by Mr. Essingler to approve as stated by the county attorneys. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 10. Did we just make a mistake on that last one? All right. We'll move on. Item number 10. Because I see that call-ins are allowed. I assume that we didn't punt anybody, but I didn't technically ask the question. So,
Yes, Mr. Chair, the call-ins are allowed on, where's my agenda?
Yeah, it was,
On the legislative items, numbers 10, 11, 12, and 13, they can be
oh, it
call-in
wasn't on,
comments.
so 9 it's not?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, I'm sorry. I saw the call-ins allowed. I thought it was on that one. So we didn't, it's the next one.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you. All right, item number 10, Ms. Greer.
item number 10, LDCT 2402, ordinance 2450, county-initiated land development code text amendment, mobile vending, it's legislative. We have Rachel Layton here for staff. It's amending Land Development Code, Chapter 2, definitions, Chapter 4, zoning, Chapter 5, standards for accessory and specific uses and structures, and Chapter 10, transportation management, to define the use of mobile vending, to add mobile vending units as an accessory and temporary use, to add mobile vending parks as a use in a specified zoning district, to set forth specific use criteria for mobile vending units, mobile vending parks, and applicable parking standards.
Thank you, Ms. Greer. Ms. Schenk, ex parte is not relevant on these. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Staff presentation, Ms.
Yes.
Layton.
Rachel Layton for staff. I have been sworn. I'm a Manatee County resident. So the mobile vending ordinance in front of you for Land Development Code Text Amendment, LDCT 2402, Ordinance 2450, is a mirror image of what you saw for the food truck ordinances earlier this year. So this is a county-initiated Land Development Code text amendment to provide general mobile vending uses, non-food related, as a recognized use within the Land Development Code. Currently, mobile vending is not a recognized use, and so therefore it has been prohibited. And what we're trying to do is make sure that we are consistent with state statutes. Again, we had the previous ordinance for food trucks and food truck parks adopted by the Board of County Commissioners on May 2nd, 2024. However, that only addressed food-related mobile vending uses and not any general mobile vending uses, such as apparel sales or other items. And food truck uses are preempted by the state per Florida Statute 509.102, mobile food dispensing vehicles. So that was another reason for the two separate ordinances. As a result, general mobile vending uses are currently not a recognized use in the Land Development Code, and this text amendment proposes to add mobile vending as a permitted use in select zoning districts. Again, it's mirroring the food truck uses, especially the food truck park use, and to establish standard specific use criteria for said use. So we have Chapter 2 for definitions to establish the use, Chapter 4 under zoning to establish the uses in standard zoning districts, and Section 402 for plan development zoning districts where it's allowed. And Chapter 5, we have added Section 511.21, mobile vending to establish standards for mobile vending as an accessory use. Under Section 521.14, we've added mobile vending, providing criteria for mobile vending as a temporary use. And under Section 531.65, mobile vending creates specific use criteria for mobile vending park. So again, for the accessory use, very similar to the food trucks, this allows this as an accessory use. Generally, we see these as in front of the big box stores. So it could be a standalone individual mobile vending unit with a maximum of 2 mobile vending units that are in simultaneous operation and are subordinate to the commercial establishment. As a temporary use, this applies to standalone mobile vending units on properties which have active retail sales and or commercial uses. Seating, a permanent power source, and overnight parking are prohibited under this scenario to reflect the temporary nature of the use. And finally, the mobile vending park applies with a minimum of 3 mobile vending units that are in simultaneous operation, have established mobile vending pad areas with all applicable permanent utility services necessary for the mobile vendor to operate. A permanent restroom, solid waste, and related facilities are to be provided on site. We also ensured that there was proposed parking. Again, similar to the food trucks, this number of parking it provides an established parking ratio. It is the opinion of staff that LDCT-2402, Ordinance 2450 can be found to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and in compliance with the applicable provisions of the Land Development Code.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Seating, it said you can't have seating.
You can have seating with the mobile vending park, but not the,
Go back a couple of slides. Where was it?
so it's in the temporary use, it's not permitted?
No, that was it. Go back. Seating of permanent are prohibited. Should it be permanent seating? I mean, can I not bring like if I have one of these units, can I bring a long chair and an umbrella and then I take it home with me when I go? So if it's
I don't think we're encouraging folks to stay very long at the mobile vending locations. It's not, there's no food service. So I think that's why we proposed it this way.
Does this apply to food as well as?
No, it does not apply to food.
So, okay, but still, I can't have any, I'm selling T-shirts, I'm selling sunglasses, I'm selling whatever, I can't have any little chairs out in front of my little unit.
Mr. Chair, excuse me. If we're looking at 52114, temporary uses, mobile vending, on O it says seating for patrons shall be permitted and removed when the mobile vending unit is not in operation. So I guess they're like portable seats, the same way in
Well, this says seating not allowed.
51121F, seating for patrons shall be permitted and removed when the mobile vending unit is not in operation, like portable seats.
Is that the food one that already exists, or where you?
Well, historically, I know when we would work on the food truck ordinance, there was, Department of Health had some regulations on seating when you have food.
Right.
And we had to be strict on that. But this allows seating, but just, you can't leave them laying around overnight.
Maybe it should just say
Well, but-
permanent seating.
Right,
Or
so
permanent power
if I
source.
might
All right,
read
hold
the-
on, hold
read the
on.
citation.
Hold on. Let's have one conversation. Ms. Keba was making a comment.
Yeah, I just think maybe adding the word permanent seating, permanent power, just adding permanent to the seating word. Would that just solve the
Yes,
issue?
I'd like to correct my testimony.
Ms. Layton,
Under 521.14, which is temporary uses, what staff is proposing under item O is seating for patrons shall be permitted and removed when the mobile vending unit is not in operation.
this says seating is not allowed.
Right, I apologize.
Okay. All right, so this is wrong.
The
That's wrong.
slide is incorrect.
Okay, fine.
The
Good.
slide is
So we're going to
incorrect.
correct that and make it meet your.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Good. Problem solved. Restrooms on site So that obviously means you use the example of a big box. The restrooms could be in the big box at the other end of the thing, but at
Correct.
least there's restrooms.
Yes.
Okay. All right, fine. That's all the questions I had for staff. All right, we'll open public comment. Is there anyone in the public that would like to come forward to speak for or against this item? Seeing no one come forward, we'll close public comment. Staff closing comments. Chair will entertain a motion. Motion to approve by Ms. Onstadt, seconded by Mr. Esslinger. You may vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 11.
Item number 11, LDCT 2407, ordinance number 2477, county-initiated land development code text amendment, accessory dwelling unit modification. It's legislative. And Rachel Layton is here for staff. It's amending the Land Development Code, Chapter 5, Standards for Accessory and Specific Uses and Structures, Section 51118, accessory dwelling units to amend the maximum square footage permitted for an accessory dwelling unit to establish the number of accessory dwelling units that can be permitted on property based on acreage and to address Scrivener errors and to provide clarification on standards.
Good morning again. Rachel Layton for staff, and I have been sworn. I'm a Manatee County resident. So the next text amendment, we have several today. So this is number 2 in our lineup. This is accessory dwelling unit modification. Land Development Code text amendment, LDCT 2407, ordinance 2477. We adopted originally the ADU ordinance about 3 years ago. And so as part of that, we've been seeing where it works and where it doesn't. And so we're proposing just some changes to it today. So this is county-initiated land development code text amendment to section 511.18 under accessory dwelling units to provide flexibility in the square footage allotted for the construction of an ADU. Staff has received an increase in inquiries to request flexibility with the maximum square footage permitted for an ADU. Furthermore, an increase in inquiries were received regarding the number of ADUs that can be constructed on a property. So the proposed language impacts section 511.18 under B, development standards. Staff is proposing to merge this table into an allowance for zoning districts A, A1, RSF, village, and plan development to permit a maximum square footage up to 80% of the primary structure air-conditioned under roof square footage only, as opposed to the previous maximum of 750 square feet or 80%, whichever was less. So we felt like that was an appropriate change. We have gotten a number of different applications in, and I'll talk to that in a moment. Again, that was under number 2. Under number 7, we have made proposed adjustments to give a little more clarity here and to allow for varying number of units on larger parcels. So number 7 is conforming lots with a principal dwelling unit shall be limited as follows, as opposed to it previously stating 1 ADU or 1 guest house. We are asking for consideration of A, conforming lots less than 5 acres in size shall be limited to 1 ADU or 1 guest house. That's consistent with previous language. Under B, conforming lots 5 acres or greater, but less than 20 acres in size shall be limited to 1 ADU and 1 guest house. And under C, we're proposing conforming lots greater than 20 acres in size shall be limited to 2 ADUs and 1 guest house. So again, A keeps the intent of the original ordinance. We did find a lot of homes that had guest houses already, and B and C allow more flexibility for larger lots. So if you had, say, a 20-acre lot that was in agricultural zoning, if you had subdivided that, you would get 4 lots. So at this point, you would get your primary residence, 2 ADUs, and 1 guest home if you were so inclined to have a family compound or whatever to serve your purposes on your property. You would be maximum of 2 ADUs and 1 guest house with your primary residence. So it is the opinion of staff that LDCT 2407 ordinance 2477 can be found consistent with the comprehensive plan and in compliance with applicable provisions. And I also wanted to make note of how many permits we've gotten since 2021 for accessory dwelling units. And so today, in 3 years, we've actually only received 26 different permit applications for accessory dwelling units and guest houses. Over the past 6 years, we've had a total of 59 guest houses permitted. And prior to the ordinance being adopted, we had 2 applications for accessory dwelling units go through the process. So it's interesting, the accessory dwelling units are not a highly requested item, but it provides for flexibility for various housing options in our community. Thank you.
Can you tell me what an accessory dwelling unit is? What defines it? A separate bathroom, a separate kitchen, a full kitchen, not a full kitchen?
The difference between the accessory dwelling unit and the guest house is the kitchen. It is specifically the stove and sink, I believe, for the kitchen.
So in an ADU, it can have.
It can have a kitchen,
Have a kitchen.
yes,
And in a guest house, it
no kitchen,
cannot.
correct.
And an ADU could be rented, whereas a guest house is not it's
Let
for
me-
family or,
Let me read through, that's part of what we're not making any changes to that, and I'm sorry, I don't have the original ordinance in its entirety in front of me, so bear with me 1 second. So the intent and purpose of the accessory dwelling unit is limited to parcels containing existing single-family or detached or one mobile home in those same zoning districts. ADUs on PD may only be allowed if minimum qualifications are met. Okay, an accessory dwelling unit shall be held in common ownership with the principal dwelling unit. Either the accessory dwelling unit or the primary dwelling unit shall be owner-occupied. Accessory dwelling unit should not be counted as a dwelling unit for purposes of calculating density, and it does not speak to whether it can be rented or has to be family.
well, the guest house, I think I thought I read that the guest house is only meant to be for the family use, or, you're not charging rent, whatever. I just had a question. Could, like a 2,000 square foot house on a quarter acre or half acre lot, it could have a 1,600 square foot ADU on it?
Correct, with this proposed change.
That seems a lot for,
I don't know that we would see that request very often.
but it would be allowed.
But it would be permitted. So the 2 ADUs that were permitted prior to the ordinance being instituted were 640 square feet and 642 square feet.
Right.
And then following that, we had, oh, this can't be right. Maybe they weren't following the regulations, I don't know. All these that are listed here range from 720, 494, 962, 998, 672, 480, 999. I guess
Yeah.
we've not been very consistent in applying our,
Yeah, I think the 80% just seems excessive.
they would have to get
I-
the financing
I-
for that.
In a straight zoning category, aren't there FARs?
No, there's no FAR. You would be bound by your setbacks, and your on straight zoning, it would just be your building setbacks.
Okay.
So if it's straight zoning and you have a home on a larger lot, it would be,
Well, the
Okay,
larger
by
lot, I
amount.
don't think is a question. I think our question is if you have a 4,000 square foot lot in the middle of Bradenton, or in the middle of unincorporated
you
Bradenton.
might not have enough room.
I'm sorry?
You might not have enough room for it to be maximized at 80%. It
Well,
doesn't
but
have
if-
to be
if-
80%.
If you have a 4,000 square foot lot and you come inside your setbacks and you have a 2,000 square foot house, I can put another 1,600 square foot house like right next to it, glued into it, as long as I meet my setbacks.
Correct.
There's no impervious area requirements, there's no FAR requirements you're aware of, no stormwater ponds required. So I could double the size of my house and have an Airbnb there or something,
Yes.
okay? Ms. Greer?
We did look up in the code, a guest house is specifically defined as not as a rental unit or for permanent occupancy, but the definition for ADU does not speak to rental or not. But the guest house did speak,
Right, so the
Yeah.
guest house is more, smaller.
Yeah.
Possibility, yeah.
Yeah, this just, I mean, look, I'm in favor of ADUs, guess what? I'm in favor of all this stuff, generally speaking. Seems to be a pretty big jump from 750 square feet to, I mean, if I got a 4,000 square foot house, I can put a 3,200 square foot ADU next to it. That's a pretty large jump, and I'm not sure that that's really what we had in mind when we wanted the ADU. We were thinking the granny cottage, you know, the cute little bungalow sits in the back for the college student or wherever.
Right.
Not another 3,200 square foot house. But I'm in favor of kind of moving this on and letting the board fight this out. I think we brought some issues up, and we'll see what the board has an opinion on it, as far as I'm concerned, but, so,
but keep in mind, they do have to meet all setback requirements, so they would have been able to build something there initially anyway. So,
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we can't prohibit ADUs from being rented out under the current Fair Housing Act regulations. We definitely left that old definition of guest house the way it was and didn't amend it for many years because it doesn't really meet the existing law on saying
Yeah.
you can't be rented out. It just states intent.
for me, it's more of an urban planning kind of thing than any of those other issues. Am I renting, I'm selling you, whatever. It's having, in my neighborhood, 7 blocks from here in all of Northwest Bradenton, for me, it's conceptually the difference between having the little granny cottage that's really cute, sits in the back, it's 800 square feet, I rent it out to the college student, or I have a 3,200 square foot, 2-story house that's now sitting there, and I'm using it as an Airbnb for whatever.
Yeah, and it's not subordinate to the primary structure. I don't think the 80% makes it definitely subordinate, which is the idea behind ADUs. I like the idea of ADUs too, but I just think this is a little much.
All right, anything else really relevant? I think we beat it to death. I mean, you and I are kind of, I think it's a little squirrely, but take it to the board and see what they say.
Thank you.
This is a call-in, I missed it last time. I assume there's nobody, whoever the great Oz says there's no call-in?
No call-ins at this
See, I
time.
knew
or
the Oz,
before.
the great and mystical Oz. All right, then we'll open the public hearing. Anyone here to speak for or against this item? See no one come forward, close public comment. Chair will entertain a motion. Motion by Ms. Prosser. Second by Ms. Onstadt. We may vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Nope, didn't.
I'm sorry?
I voted against.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, Ms. Keba voted against it. I got the two of you mixed up down there. I'm sorry. Motion passes 4-1. I think Ms. Keba made her thoughts clear about the size of it, might not be appropriate. Motion passes 4-1, I'm sorry. Item number 12.
you'll be happy to know I'm going to pare this down and not read every word. Item number 12, LDCT 2404, Ordinance 2465, County-Initiated Land Development Code Text Amendment, Chapter 10, General Cleanup. It's legislative, and we do have Rachel Layton here for staff. It's Chapter 10, Transportation Management, to update references, address Scrivener errors, and provide clarification on standards.
You're not going to read all the rest of that stuff? Ms. Layton, good morning.
Good morning again. So this is our third item. Rachel Layton for staff. I have been sworn. This is for Chapter 10, General Cleanup, Land Development Code Text Amendment, LDCT 2404, Ordinance 2465, a county-initiated Land Development Code Text Amendment to Chapter 10 of the Land Development Code to provide general cleanup, to revise outdated code references, and provide clarification to various portions of sections within Chapter 10. The proposed Land Development Code text amendments are to provide general cleanup by revising outdated code references and clarifying various sections. Staff considers the majority of these changes non-substantive and will not alter the intent of the existing language in the Land Development Code. Under Chapter 10, Transportation Management, Section 1001.8.H.2, Street and Structure Numbering Standards, Structure Number Assignments, there's added language via subsections I and II to identify the applicability of address number assignments for accessory dwelling units and guest houses. Where multiple separate principal structures exist on a single frontage, each structure must have its own distinct address number. Fractions, alphanumeric, or other words, front or rear, are not permitted. So under I, in the case of an approved accessory dwelling unit, the structure will bear the same address as the single-family residence on the property, but will also be assigned a unit identifier that is unique. II, a guest house, which is a structure accessory to a residential use, used for the occasional housing of guests of the occupants of the principal structure, and not as a rental unit or for permanent occupancy as a housekeeping unit, and does not include kitchen or dining facilities. I wish I'd had this item on before. Shall not be assigned an address. So under section 1001.8.H.5, street and structure numbering standards, structure assignments, provided revised, updated language regarding the number of street assignments of addresses in recreational vehicle parks. So this was a larger change, and it's proposed to read recreational vehicle parks shall be assigned subdivision-style addresses with the internal travel ways having either street name designations or grid-based numeric designations. Each lot or tract within the RV park shall be assigned a corresponding unique address number based on the Manatee County grid system.
Can we talk about that one for a second? Normally, we can't use similar street names.
Correct.
If you ask for a street name, for instance, you can have Wood Fern Drive. You cannot also have Wood Fern Boulevard, generally speaking. Correct?
Generally speaking, yes.
Well, not arguing that, because that makes it somewhat difficult, and given today's technology, no one's actually going through the phone book to know where that call is coming from. It's showing up in the emergency management. They know exactly where it's coming from. But that being aside, in a RV park where there's 1,000 little 20-foot roads, does it make any sense to let them to use like the name of the RV park more than once? Like if my RV park is called Sunny Days Lane, Sunny Days Parkway, Sunny Days Trail, Sunny Days Dirt Path. And you're not going to answer this thing now, but you may want to think about within an RV park, because it's like Sunny Days. Well, I know where I'm going. I'm headed to Sunny Days. You might want to think opening that up for that kind of a limited use. You might want to think about it. That's all.
I will relay that to the rest of our team.
Okay. Because I'm trying to find names now. It's hard.
It
You know
is.
how hard it is to come up with names for a subdivision?
And street names are even more challenging.
It's like very difficult.
It
So-
is.
And you can't use curse words, so, I mean, that cuts it down right there. Go ahead, sir.
And for the ADUs, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Over
yes.
here. For the ADUs, you're not allowed to use fractions,
Correct.
so it can't be 20, 22 and a half. I mean, I see that other places everywhere, but you have to use like A or B or some
Yes,
other identifier?
correct.
Okay. I guess it doesn't matter.
Okay. Continuing on under section 501.3.A, off-street parking. Number of vehicle parking spaces required, added a code reference to include Americans with Disabilities Act for accessible design manual regarding handicap parking spaces. And similarly, under section 1005.7.A, parking lot design, dimensional requirements, added code reference to include Americans with Disability Act's standards for accessible design manual regarding handicap spaces. Under 1005.7.d.2, parking lot design, circulation, updated text to permit the backing onto a public or private travel lane for multifamily developments. You've seen a number of different specific approvals in the last several months for multifamily developments, asking for specific approval to be allowed to back onto the driveway, the public or private travel lane.
Yeah,
which
so,
This cleans that up.
So travel lane, not street, because it's a driveway in a multifamily product, and it's not a street, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So all right, fine, thank you.
It's I've struggled with that one myself, Commissioner, Chair. In conclusion, it's the opinion of staff that LDCT 2465, Ordinance 2465 can be found to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and in compliance with the Land Development Code and the provisions of, found consistent with the comprehensive plan and compliance with the applicable provisions of Land Development Code. And I think I used the wrong LDCT reference. It's LDCT 2404, Ordinance 2465.
Okay. Earlier, there was a comment about having or not having a kitchen.
Correct.
Is a kitchen defined in the Land Development Code? If I go through it, I find the word kitchen, and it tells me what a kitchen is?
I might
It's
need
my
to-
opinion what a kitchen is.
I need to phone a friend.
You might want to find, yeah, because it's in there. I don't know what a kitchen is. It's not defined as anything. You might want to check your definitions and see if, or is it in there?
I
Ms.
think it might be in the building code, actually,
Yeah.
but I do know the difference was the stove.
Right,
Yeah.
that's
I
usually
just
what it is.
don't know what's a kitchen.
Yeah.
Is it defined or not? All right. Any questions for staff? We'll open public comment. Is there anyone in the public that would like to come forward to speak for or against this item? Anyone in the public? Seeing no one come forward, close public comment. If there's no more questions, Chair will entertain a motion. Motion by Ms. Keba, second by Ms. Prosser. We may vote. This one passes unanimously. Thank you. Oh, did I ask the great Oz? Was there anybody signed up?
No callers, Mr. Chair.
Okay, fine. Item number 13.
Item number 13, LDCT 2408, ordinance number 2484. It's a county-initiated land development code text amendment, earth moving revisions. It's legislative, and we do have Rachel Layton again. It's to amend Chapter 2 to provide revisions to related definitions, Chapter 3, review authority and procedures, Chapter 4, zoning, Chapter 5, standards for accessory and specific uses and structures, Chapter 7, environmental and cultural resource protection.
Yes. For the record, Rachel Layton, I have been sworn. Today, I'm presenting item 4 of the text amendments moving forward. Earth moving revisions. I do have Scott Browning with me today because this has been a team effort between Development Services and Natural Resources. So this is Land Development Code Text Amendment, LDCT 2408, Ordinance 2484. A county-initiated Land Development Code Text Amendment to Section 702, Earth Moving of the Land Development Code, specifically to provide clarification of standards, including definitions and requirements of minor and major earth-moving operations, operating permit applications, and specific operational details to ensure the safe and environmentally adequate design and reclamation of all disturbed lands. This Land Development Code text amendment seeks to revise processes, procedures, and standards, update references, address Scrivener errors, and provide clarification on existing standards related to earth-moving activities within the Land Development Code. Under Chapter 2, definitions, we are proposing to revise the definition for best possible technology to remove the word major so that it applies to all earth-moving activities and not just major earth-moving activities. For Chapter 3, review and authority procedures, Section 312, procedures of general applicability, Table 3.1, Development Order Review Authorities, the table has been updated to include earth-moving minor and earth-moving major activities and reorder the development activities alphabetically or by intensity type. There are minor changes also, there are changes also proposed to chapters 4 and 5, but the meat of the revisions are proposed within chapter 7, Environmental and Cultural Resource Protection, section 702. A lot of this is moving to a new section 707. So the purpose has been revised. The purpose and intent of this section is to protect the public health, safety, and welfare from potential adverse impacts caused by earth-moving activities, to ensure safe and environmentally adequate design and reclamation of all disturbed lands, to prevent the immediate and long-term negative environmental and economic impacts of undesirable land development practices, and to protect all property during excavating, filling, and off-site transporting of material through the establishment of regulations of these activities. So a lot of these sections under 702 are being updated to include relocating the section entirely from 702 to 701 and related sections to provide consistency. So updating the purpose and intent of the section to provide consistency and clarification under 707, what is now 707.1, 707.2 exemptions, updating applicable activities eligible for the exemptions, and revise activities for clarification. 707.3 will now have updated standards to provide clarification to standards and procedures. 707.4 will have reclamation standards related to excavation activities. Then we'll have earth-moving and mining activities within the floodplain, updated language for consistency, operating permit requirements, revised language for consistency and clarification of standards, administration of this section, updated language for consistency and clarification of the standards. And again, under 707 to 709, reserved update code sections to provide consistency. It is the opinion of staff that LDCT 2408, Ordinance 2484 can be found to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and in compliance with the applicable provisions of the Land Development Code. And this one I would need help from Mr. Browning for questions.
Any questions for staff? Ms. Shank?
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear, we do have a new statute that requires us to look at ordinances where they're more restrictive or less restrictive or burdensome compared to existing regulations. And there's a lot of meat in here. It's not just Scrivener's corrections.
Correct.
So at the board meeting, someone's have to address that.
Okay. And this has been through legal review?
Yes, but this is staff testimony, not.
Yes.
Has there been much outreach to the site work contractors and the developers about these changes?
Not from development services.
So this is just a strong arm of the government coming in without any input from we the people.
Hi, I'm Scott Browning, Senior Mining Services Manager for Natural Resources Department. Actually, what we're doing, we're just...
Can you speak into the microphone? There you go.
The ordinance hasn't changed much. It's just a rewrite. It's to clarify some of the references. So there really hasn't been any change to the requirements to the private sector.
Okay, well, we'll be looking at it now. Is this largely because of future dust particles? Is this what's really prompting this, or?
No, that wasn't really the primary objective. Really what it was is to clarify it for the applicants for an earth-moving permit. It was rather confusing as to go through, and we've rearranged it so it's easier for the applicant to know what they need to do.
Okay. Is there a definition for earth-moving activities?
Yes.
A shovel in the ground? A skid steer?
Yes, there's amounts that need to be moved. It's basically a dirt removal, dirt excavation activity.
Okay, all right.
And there's trigger amounts.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Thank you. All right, thank you. We'll open this up for public comment. Anyone in the public that would like to come forward, speak for or against this item? Anyone in the public? See no one come forward. Close public comment. Chair will entertain the great Oz.
No callers, Mr. Chair.
Nothing from the Oz. Chair will entertain a motion. Motion by Ms. Prosser, seconded by Ms. Keba. May vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. I believe that's it. Did I miss anything? Anything else for the good of the order? All right, hold on. I found mine. We're adjourned. Thank you.